Guys, we have made it to the end of the MLB season. The Los Angeles Dodgers are World Series champs, beating the Tampa Bay Rays 4-2 in the World Series. It was an exciting one. It was a crazy one. I think it was everything we imagined that it would be when the Los Angeles Dodgers finally broke through and won their first World Series in I can't remember how many years, but it's been a while. And there's like
32.
so many. What's up, Roxy?
Sorry, 32 years.
32 years. I knew it's been a while. But there's
Just random numbers over here.
Right. There's so many things to break down from this World Series. I mean, Clayton Kershaw comes out and wins 2 games. Game 4 was something that kind of came out of a storybook. I would think is the best way to put it.
Yeah, I would call Game 4 the best game of the World Series since Cubs Indians Game 7.
Yeah, it was something that I don't think anyone would have imagined with like just kind of how it played out and everything like that. Clayton Kershaw gets 2 wins, beats Tyler Glasnow both times. The pitching decision in Game 6, Kevin Cash pulling Blake Snell, was something that we're going to talk about forever. Justin Turner getting coronavirus and getting pulled in Game 6, like midway through the game. Who knows how that happens, but it happens. And then he goes back out onto the field to celebrate with his team. Just so many things. Like it was a wild World Series. It was one of the perfect ways to cap off what this season has been and kind of what the lead up to the season has been in 2020. I mean, just to start off, guys. I mean, what did you think of this? What the Dodgers coming out on top? Anything that stuck out to you? We'll break it all down. But I guess, what are your initial thoughts?
I mean, it's exciting because we have like so many different storylines, and when you're thinking of if we're even going to have a season, I think it's fairly remarkable that it did go through, and it's 2020. You can't have it without some COVID rearing its head. So we have that interesting storyline to talk about too, like what on earth would have happened if there would have been a Game 7 with a known COVID case on the Dodgers. But there's that. Obviously Kershaw getting off the schneid, and you just have some like really exciting games of baseball. So it's a good way to cap off a unique year. And I think I'm just glad that the 2 teams that went out at it were 2 of the teams that were top of the league in this like truncated 60-game season. So, you got 2 different types of teams, but I think it was a baseball on the big stage. It was fun to see.
Yeah, and I just want to start by saying I'm wearing the chef's hat because it's almost Halloween. I do like to cook, but my costume this year is chef from South Park.
I just skipped over that.
I just want to let our listeners know. Happy Halloween. No, this what a ride. We're at the end, and I just think back all the way to spring training whenever all of this first started, and the roller coaster that we all went through as baseball fans as a show, talking about labor issues for 5 weeks. It took up half our summer. It was the dog days of summer. Like the dog days of summer is supposed to be the real grind of baseball, but we were sitting there wondering whether it was going to be baseball. And, from the beginning until now, the Dodgers were always the favorite to win the World Series, them and the Yankees. And to see them go against the Rays was awesome because it's sort of like a big brother, little brother type thing in the sense that Andrew Friedman, who put together that team, the Dodgers, came from the Rays organization. And, then you have the Rays, who I'm not sure their current GM, but you have them who don't do it like the Dodgers, where the Dodgers acquired big guys like Mookie Betts, David Price. And you have the Rays, who made smart moves, like guys like Charlie Morton, traded for Ray Rosarena, who blossomed into a star throughout this whole entire playoffs. It was an awesome playoff. It was an awesome World Series. Congrats to the Dodgers who joined the Lakers in winning a championship in this year. Would have been really cool if the Kings did it too, though. That would have just been sick, but whatever. The bottom line is this. The best team won, and how they won is an absolute. I mean, we're going to get into that, but I mean, it was awesome for them to see them win. See guys like Clayton Kershaw finally get a ring, to see Mookie Betts get a second ring, to see another star blossom where that team their lineup's led by Cody Bellinger, but it was Corey Seager who ultimately carried the load offensively for them and proven by his MVP performance.
Well, Mookie Betts is in there too. You know?
Mookie Betts put the nail in the coffin in Game 6. So
he certainly wasn't.
He was there, and his Steeler defense is something to behold. But yeah, we're gonna get into all that here, and I'm very excited to break it down.
Yeah.
I got takes cooking.
That's why you got.
Tree fitty.
I just want to say Mookie Betts won a lot of people a lot of tacos with his stolen bases.
Mm-hmm. In Game 1.
But it starts out
National
in Game
hero.
1, guys. Clayton Kershaw comes out and gets, I guess, I would call it a weight off the shoulders type of win. He's never had a lot of success in the postseason. He comes out, he gets a win in Game 1. We'll get into his legacy, but I kind of want to break down the rest of the games first. So they come out. We'll start with Game 4, but they come out, they get a win in Game 1. Kershaw beats Glasnow. They come out. The Rays answer in Game 2, win 6-4. Kind of like, I feel like Game 2 was kind of like a ho-hum game. They just traded blows in the first 2 games. Dodgers come out in Game 3. Walker Buehler gets a win. Walker Buehler gets a win in Game 3, 6-2. So it's 2-1. Dre, you've been talking about Game 4 for I don't know how long. It was something out of a storybook, like I said. Just kind of break it down for us. I mean, it's just craziness.
Absolute chess match. I call it. I think it was the best game I've ever seen since Game 7 of that World Series in 2016 with the Cubs and Indians, where Rajai Davis hit that home run.
Yep.
And then there was that weather delay in extra innings, which was absolutely bananas.
Yeah.
But the Cubs ultimately got the win, and as a Pirates fan, that sucks. But whatever. It's nice to see history. But regarding this game, Game 4, just sitting there watching it, I couldn't believe what we were watching. I believe the pitching matchup. Help me out here, guys. I don't have it up right now. I really wasn't prepared to be on the spot.
It was, I think, Urias and Yarborough. I think it was like a bullpen
it was
game.
a bullpen. It was a bullpen game.
Oh, well, Urias was awesome in the series. There's no doubt about it. But yeah, as you're sitting there watching it, like legitimately just Urias, and again, he was awesome. And you do see it was a bullpen game, and now it's starting to come back to me. Urias did start. He did go 5, but he had 9 strikeouts. Like, this dude was dealing.
Yeah, he was dealing. And he got
absolutely dealing.
Game 6.
Yeah, he did. And he shut the door. It was awesome. And Yarborough was okay. He did whatever he had to do, but like you said, it was a bullpen game, and their bullpen was awesome. But ultimately, I think this is why they failed here in Game 6, just riding it the entire year. We'll get into that. The chess match came from first inning. Justin Turner homer, had an absolute bomb. Then third inning, Corey Seager homer, and so it's up 2-1, 2 solo shots. Then a Rosarena, the absolute star, makes it 2-1, gets him off the schneid. Max Muncy, 5th inning, gets a single up 3-1, And then the Rays in the 5th. Answer, Hunter Renfroe. And this is where it started to get real good. Hunter Renfroe hit an absolute bomb. He went yabo, 444 feet. It was actually insane. To continue with the runs, we got Hernandez double to left in the 6th. And then Brandon Lau, who killed them in game 2, he hit 2 homers. He hit a 3-run shot. And the 3-run shot that came in the 6th, I believe, happened after a pitching change, which was where they brought in Kolarek. No, they brought in Baez. And Baez was supposed to hold for trying, and it didn't work out. And then it was just dope. Like, it was a hell of a shot. Like, I couldn't believe it. Then 7th inning, Pedersen, young Jock, hit a single, make it 6-5. And it was a 2-run single because bases were loaded. Seager scored. Turner scored. They got Bellinger out at 3rd, which was actually a key run there in the end. I get why Bellinger. I get why he tried to go to 3rd, but if I were him, I probably would have stayed on 2nd, especially with 2 runs coming in. Going 1st to 3rd on a single is just ballsy. But if anyone can do it, I guess it'd be him. He's kind of fast. I don't know if he's fast enough. I mean, he got thrown out. So it was a good play by the Rays, no doubt about it. And then 7th, Kiermaier went yard. And again, this is the story of the series. The Rays got a lot of their runs from the long ball, but Kiermaier going yard there. He was probably one of the last people you expect to go yard. And in the 8th inning, at this point, Nick Anderson's in, and we'll get to him as well later in Game 6. But Nick Anderson's in, and Chris Taylor's on, I believe he was on 2nd, 3rd. He was in scoring position. Corey Seager hit a single, again, MVP of the series.
Biggest bloop single of all bloop singles.
Yeah, just talking about that, the bloop single, it came straight from the fact that he hit it up. Kiermaier was going to go for it, but Margot was also coming in, and Kiermaier kind of bailed because he didn't want to collide with his teammate. It was just an awkward moment, and it fell right in between them. I think Kiermaier got to sell out for that because A, it's World Series, but you're the center fielder. Like, you got to call for that, and you got to make it known. And I don't want to say it was loud. It wasn't loud because there was fans there. It was kind of loud actually for not being no fans, but yeah, if you're Kevin Kiermaier, I think you got to make that play. But ultimately, I say all of this because at this point it's 7-6 and we're in the 9th inning. And Kelly Jansen, first off, he stinks. I'm just gonna say it. I don't care. He stinks.
It's always been their problem.
Yeah,
it's always been the problem.
He saved a lot of games for them, but his velocity is just consistently dipped.
Yeah.
And he actually cost me money in one of the games this year. In my parlay that I had, he was the last leg, and it was the Dodgers to win by 2, and they were up 6-3, and he let up 2 runs, and I lost my parlay because of that. And it was one of the most upsetting things. I was like, screw that guy. I hate him. Of course, ultimately.
Tell us how you really feel.
That is how I really feel. I mean, it's not like a hatred for like the Reds or Madison Bumgarner. So it don't burn that deep. It just sucks. But
see money, that's all.
He owes me $100 basically. Anyways, to the 9th, because that's where it really got juicy.
Yeah.
So Jansen's in the game, and I want to talk specifically about the play, the game-winning play. The bases were loaded, and Phillips. What's his? Yeah, Brett Phillips comes in as a pinch hitter. And when he came in as a pinch hitter for Ji-Man Choi, or was it Brasso at the time? I don't know, but he came in as
Choi.
It was Choi. Came in as
it was Brasso, or Brasso. Choi pinched hit for Brasso, and then
Brett.
Okay.
Phillips came
so
in.
it was Choi.
So Phillips came in, and this dude isn't batting. I mean, he hasn't batted all series, and he wasn't batting that one in the playoffs, and it just didn't look like a good move. But Kevin Cash knows. I mean, we'll just say Kevin Cash, I think, is a good manager. So
we thought at the moment.
Well, he brings in. I'm like, he brings this guy in. My first initial thought was like, this dude hasn't taken a bat all series. He really doesn't bat in the playoffs. Like, this better work. Like, you just took out Ji-Man Choi, who's your, essentially one of your starting 9. So he comes in, he sees 2 strikes, and I believe it's a 2-2 pitch. Absolutely belts a single in the center. And 1 run is in, and Rosarina is coming around third, and as the ball's coming in from Mookie to Muncy, he falls. And when he fell,
Ghost of Daniel Jones 2 days prior.
Call of Duty sniper up in Texas there. Chris Kyle, the ghost of Chris Kyle, like just taking him out. The Dodgers fan. Seriously, as he fell, Muncy gets the relay, and he makes the most awful throw I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Will Smith literally had the plate just blocked, and he had to reach. And when he reached, it was terrible. It was a 30-foot throw, and he blew it.
Like,
and that doesn't even. And I completely forgot about the error in center field, right field.
Yeah, Chris Taylor. Yeah.
Yeah, the Bellinger error. Like,
I think it was Chris Taylor.
It was Chris Taylor.
Yeah. It was Chris Taylor, yeah. Thanks for correcting me as I'm wrong. Again, this is game 4. This is last Saturday.
Yeah.
So we're a week removed from it. But yeah, Chris Taylor has an error, so it starts there. Muncy has a throwing error, but when Muncy threw the error, I mean, that was the game. And at that point, I'm like, all right, the Rays are going to win the series because it's 2-2. But this whole entire chess match just ended in one of the craziest ways possible. I know it's just an absolute slugfest, bunch of back and forth. Like, first inning, third inning, fourth, fifth. Like, there was runs all the time. The action was awesome, but the game, how it ended, was insane. Like, to lose on 2 errors on a team that's defensively sound, like the LA Dodgers, is like insane to me.
Chaos.
It was chaos.
It's chaos. I remember like watching the throw from Muncy to Will Smith, and it looked like he had it. Like, honestly, like it looked like he had it, and he was getting ready to swing his glove to make the tag, and then all of a sudden he like looks behind him. He's looking for the ball. I'm like, did he not catch the ball? Like, what just happened? Because it looked like the throw was on. It looked like he just missed it when he was going for the tag or something like that. And then a Rosarina comes in and scores. I'm like, that's the craziest ending to a World Series game I've ever seen. Other than obviously like 04 when you can't really say 04 because that was the ALCS, but
I'd probably say the David Freese.
Yeah, that's another one.
The David Freese one was probably as far as endings go.
Yeah.
I mean, the Rajai Davis one was too.
That was wild
because that was in the 9th. Mm-hmm. But it's just crazy because within I guess a 10-second window, you're like, it's 2-2. You have Brett Phillips, who's like, again, he hasn't taken a bat yet in this series. You have Brett Phillips, who's like, dude, you better hit it. Oh my God, you hit it. Oh my God, Chris Taylor bobbled it. The relay's in, and as Muncy throws it, you're like, how the hell did he beat a Rosarina? What happened to him? Meanwhile, this dude's on the ground.
Yeah.
And then when you realize that the catcher didn't have the ball, you're like, oh my God, they just won because of that. Like, it was such a roller coaster of emotions at that point. Like, what a ride!
Like, if Chris Taylor makes that point, if he just comes up clean with that ball, like it's like a Rosarina doesn't score, and
he probably doesn't score at all. He probably gets held.
Yeah.
Wait, so was it first and second or bases loaded? Because was a Rosarina here? Let me.
It might have been. It might have been first and second because
I think that's what it was. Because he was coming all the way from there. Because they walked him. They intentionally walked him, right? Or no, they didn't intentionally walk him. They just didn't give him a pitch to hit.
Yeah.
And
I think they ended up intentionally walking him. Though I'm pretty sure like they sort of like pitched around him. Like he didn't get on because of a hit.
Yeah.
They weren't gonna let him beat him, and rightfully so. I mean, dude had 10 home runs in the playoffs.
Which is wild.
Yeah, it was first and second. He was down to a strike. So Arozarena came from first all the way around. And from my perspective, like the way that the camera pans, when you see Will Smith, at first it looks like he grabs right and turns left and he has the ball. And then you see Arozarena coming into the frame.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't realize that he fell. You don't know what's going on until I saw it in the replay. I'm like, oh my gosh. But like that's just like in terms of excitement in baseball, it's like I like two sorts of games. One where it's just like two pitchers that are just cruising and doing great job. Like the first game of the playoffs between the Reds and the Braves, like Bauer and Fried just going off. Yeah. Or like games like this where it's just like back and forth and you just expect chaos. Mm-hmm. Like there wouldn't have been a normal end to that game. Like just like in how the World Series in 2016, there wasn't a normal end there. Like you're just expecting it and anticipating it. And I thought that was very exciting. But I had a separate thought than you, Dre. I forget who it is. Maybe it's like Bill Simmons, but he sort of has his like betting guide. And I know it's mainly for like the NFL, but it's like in the playoffs, don't bet on these teams. And one of those are teams that have like some sort of miraculous win or something crazy that happens for them. So like in reference, the 2017 Vikings, like don't bet on them. You know, they're coming off of this huge, crazy victory. Yeah. And then there's going to be a little bit of hangover from that. So like when that happened, I was like, oh, that's great. That's awesome. But in the back of my mind, I was like, crap. I think that means that the Dodgers are now going to like recover and close this thing out. But yeah, that game was very, very exciting. Good to see.
So you were right. It was actually first and second, which it makes it even crazier. Kiermaier singled, and then Wendell went out the left, and then Arozarena walked, and they brought on Phillips. And Kiermaier, with 2 outs, Kiermaier was going to score easily, and he hit. But I feel like he hit it so hard that from Arozarena to go from, well, first to third makes sense, but again, he had that error, so they try to wave him. Mm-hmm. And when he was on his way home, he just fell. I don't think the error was that bad where like he was actually going to go from first to home. Like he kind of kicked it around, but
if you think about it, if the throw home wasn't bad, he was out by a mile. Like I think he was like halfway up the line.
Yeah, because he fell.
Yeah. And so in retrospect, it was probably a bad move to send him home after falling because he would have been gone. He would have been out by a mile. I mean, it looked like it kind of like on the frame, it kind of looked like when the ball was coming home, he was like already heading back towards third because you know what I mean? He kind of like double taked a little bit, mm-hmm. And then he came home once the ball got passed. Mm-hmm. But that whole sequence was just wild.
Yeah.
I don't really know what else to say about it. It was just like that just happened.
Yeah, and I don't think I've seen a sequence like that.
Yeah.
Like specific, and I know I say the game, but like that specific sequence of events, I don't think I've ever seen a sequence like that in such a game.
With the hit in the situation, and then the 2 errors, and then Arozarena falling, and then scoring and winning the game.
Yeah, like everything went wrong for the Dodgers, and then hey, Arozarena fell. We're getting a chance to go into extras, but wait, Will Smith doesn't have the ball. Like that's. To me, that's such a crushing loss, but they bounced back in such a way. But, I mean, that was the story of them in this playoffs because they were down 3-1 at one point. Mm-hmm. Like, they had to bounce back from that, and they did that in the NLCS versus the Braves. Mm-hmm. Win 3 in a row, and they did, you know, so.
I think this team, I mean, like we said at the beginning of the episode, this team was always destined to win this season. Like, you know, they were the favorite all year long, and they had to come through and finish it off. And that's what they did in the final 2 games. I mean, they came through. Game 5, Clayton Kershaw comes out and gets another W. Goes 4-1 in the playoffs. He really only had that, like his only really bad start was that start against the Braves where they kind of came out and just
destroyed him.
Just pelted him. So he comes out and he gets the win in Game 5. Dodgers go up 3-2. At that point, we're going to Game 6. Just what a matchup in Game 6. I mean, Blake Snell comes out and just pitches an absolute gem through the first, I think it was through the first 6 innings, I think. 5 innings maybe. And 5 innings? Yeah, 5 innings.
He went into the 6th.
He went into the 6th. Okay.
Yeah, 5 1/3.
Pulling up the
So into the 6th, going into the 6th, he had 5 innings, 1 hit,
like 9 strikeouts.
and 9 strikeouts.
And then I think he's getting set to face the top of the lineup again. And Kevin Cash comes out and pulls him after he lets up a hit. And I mean, from there, it's kind of over. He'd only let up 2 hits to that point, and one of them was a Rosarina home run in the first inning.
Who? Wait.
Rosarina and Snell. Yeah, Urso. Snell gave up 2 hits at that time, and they had the lead 1-0.
Yeah, because Rosarina had a home run off of Gonzalez. You were kind of confused there, but that's okay.
Completely backwards. Completely backwards. That's my fault. The point is, Blake Snell was throwing an absolute gem. He lets up a hit. Kevin Cash comes out and gets him, and all chaos breaks loose. Dodgers come back, score a run, score 2 runs in the 6th, go on Betts homers in the 8th, and the Dodgers won the World Series. All right, so let's start with this move by Kevin Cash. I mean, when a guy is dealing like that, no matter what the analytics say, do you take him out?
So I've heard a lot of takes about this, and I told you guys I was very excited to talk about this because I know I just went on a rant, but
wait, hold on. Let me get comfortable. So I know you're gonna go on a rant here. Let me get comfortable.
This take has been baking since Game 6 against
Another chef
hat.
Another
Chef
chef
reference.
Okay.
The bottom line is this: the point of analytics is to give you the best possible chance to win, and the Rays have done that all year. So for Kevin Cash to do this, it makes sense. But I don't give a damn what the analytics say because people say first time through he's good, second time through he gets worse, third time through it's even worse, and they pulled him on his 3rd time through the lineup. But guys,
she had shingles.
The pain, oh my gosh, it was horrible, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Actually, shingles can be prevented. Shingles can be what?
Shingles
Prevented.
Commercial? What the fuck?
So we're sponsored by. Is that your way of telling us, Greg, that we got some sponsorship for shingles?
Pharmacist
Shingles
above that.
commercial? What the fuck?
oh, the timing of that was perfect.
It's over. I'm exiting out of the All right.
This episode is brought to you. All right, continue, Greg.
That is the most fucking awkward commercial ever.
The timing was perfect. It really was. The bottom line is this with Blake Snell. The first time through he was phenomenal. And the second time through the analytics say he got worse, but he didn't get worse.
No.
If you want to say he allowed 1 hit and that's worse than the first time through, like this dude was locked in.
Yeah.
Extremely locked in. If you want to yank him on a 3rd time through, that's fine. But you let him figure it out against Mookie Betts. If you let him face Mookie Betts and Mookie gets another hit 1st and 2nd, all right, you go to the pen.
Yeah.
100% go to the pen. And you can't defend that. But this dude was so locked in. Like you saw his reaction whenever Kevin Cash came out to yank him, which I thought would have been a baller move if he came out and was like, look, everything says I should pull you right now, but you need to take the ball and you need to do this. Like this dude is the ace of their staff. He's one of the leaders of their team. I'm pretty sure he's the highest paid player in their team. And you just say, you know what? Analytics. The analytics say 3rd time through, he's about to get rocked. Well, analytics also say the 2nd time through, he progressively gets worse from the 1st time through. Like, you can't always lean on analytics for everything. And I get why you do it, because you give your team the best chance to win. Like, that's the point of analytics. It's not the right move. It's just the most justified move.
Mhm.
Like, everyone, including the Dodgers, saw the second you came out that was such a bad move. Through five innings, this dude had 9 Ks. Like, no one could touch him. The top of the lineup didn't even have a hit.
He had 6 strikeouts. The
Yeah.
next 3 batters
He struck out.
He had 6
1, 2, 3.
6 strikeouts.
Which is insane to me if you think about the fact he had 9 strikeouts. Like,
Yeah.
the top of the lineup could not see him. And the second they yank him. And the other part of this is that Ray's pen is phenomenal. Okay, so it's not like they yanked him for the sake of yanking him. Like, the Rays pen is awesome. If people want to say Nicky Anderson's given up a run in the series, like, all right, Nicky Anderson has been one of the best relievers in baseball for the past 2 years.
Yeah.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
be damned analytics. Like, look up historical statistics. Like, that's a fact.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like they yanked him for some nobody. Like, they yanked him for Nick Anderson. You could say whatever you want, but Nick Anderson's been dominant historically. Was he in the series? I don't know. Probably not if he's giving up a run, but at the same time, like, that's a dude that I legitimately can trust to take the ball from him.
Yeah.
But that's not the person who should have faced him anyways. It should have been 100% Blake Snell. At least let him go batter by batter. You go out there and say, look, batter, just take the ball. You know, if you can't get him out, if you put him on base, then we're going to yank you. And you have to, and he has to understand that. He has a job to do. You better do it. But the fact that they just yanked him, it's, to me, analytics be damned. Like, I think it was bad. I think it's just a bad move, and it's something that they've done all year. So, like, why stray away from that now? But, like, you can't do that. You just can't do that in the biggest game of the year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely agree, and I think it's like my thought my thought on analytics is like they're best served as gleaning insights based off of like large sample sizes to get this idea. In a World Series, in an elimination game, analytics aren't able to take into account the things like adrenaline or just like being able to look. If you look at his season statistics, yeah, you could make a case to pull him, but it's not taking into account the fact that this guy's like pitching his butt off in like the biggest game of his career, and like in terms of where he was performing that night compared to the rest of the season, like this is the first time that his pitch count was much friendlier. So yeah, that's like in other starts when he's through the third time through the lineup, his pitch count is higher, thus skewing the results of the third time through the order. Yeah. So like he's at a lower pitch count. He's not getting behind batters. He's control of his changeup. He's like just dominating these guys. So when you look at analytics just solely in a black box, you're gonna like make these sort of decisions. Mm-hmm. So I thought it was like very like hasty, and just I thought when he first came out, I was like, oh, it's just gonna be like the talk to him. This guy's rolling. Don't touch him. Like just come out and do what you were mentioning, Dre, just being like, yeah, I got you here. He's like, keep battling. But no, and he pulled him, and I was like, holy cow, this isn't going to be good. And I think to sum it all up, I'm not sure if I already said this, it's early, but in all things, moderation, and that includes analytics. Like there has to be at least a little bit of that accounting for gut and adrenaline and what makes like an individual tick in those high moments, because he was, as a guy that was a Blake Snell fantasy owner, he was pitching the best that night compared to what he was the rest of the year.
He looked like a Cy Young again.
Unfortunate for him.
He looked like a Cy Young winner again. And people forget that he won Cy Young.
He was rolling. So it's unfortunate that it comes to something like that. And I mean, it's not, and like none of us are of the thought of the talking heads on like certain programs where it's like this is their chance to sort of like hit analytics over the head with a hammer and be like, look how stupid this is, because like it's how both of these teams have gotten to these points. Yeah. But I I think if Kevin Cash had another go at it, he would probably ride Snell. I mean, obviously ride Snell a little bit longer.
Yeah. I mean, if you like I'm a fan of analytics in general.
I am too.
But,
I just want to say that as well.
yeah, but like it also comes down to like situations and stuff like that. And you have to feel out the situation. And when a guy is at, I think he was at like 75 pitches or 73 pitches or something like that, like you said, Brooksy, like a low pitch count, going into his third time through the order. The next 3 batters he faced, he's struck them out twice apiece, and he's your ace. In the biggest game of the year, you're trying to force a game 7. Like, how do you not give him the opportunity? Like, I understand go with the analytics, but how do you not give him the opportunity, your ace, to go out and face the top guys in their order, no matter how successful your bullpen has been? Like, how do you not give him that opportunity is what I don't understand. I mean, this guy, we all know Blake Snell. We've talked about him multiple times on this show. He's a guy that's full of confidence. Like, and that's no doubt about it. So, like, he's built for that type of situation in a World Series game, win or go home type of thing. Like, that's what he's made for. And you didn't let him go out and execute. To me, I think that's a decision Kevin Cash will always look at and be like, should I have left him out there?
Of course, he's going to regret it for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
both of you kind of touched on it. With analytics, they give you the best odds. They give you the best odds for that current situation. But what they don't take into account is the actual current situation. Like, you can say whatever you want about analytics and historically Blake Snell. Like, if Blake Snell has not pitched deep in the games this year. He hasn't. But again, it's not about what inning you pitch in. It's about your pitch count. This dude had 73 pitches.
Yeah.
Like, he was absolutely rolling. And analytics will not take into account what is happening on that given day. And that's the problem with analytics. Like, I don't want to say eye test because it makes me I feel like that's just so basic. So just not there's just not a lot of detail regarding eye test. I feel like, oh, what do my eyes tell me? It's like, all right, no, like, in the end, you can't just look at what he's doing. You have to look at everything and take into account the current variable, which is the one you need to account for. And Blake Snell destroyed the top of the lineup, 6 strikeouts, analytics be damned, and the second time around. I believe the only person who got a hit off of him was Chris Taylor until that second hit came around, and it was Austin Barnes. So, I mean, there's that. And then, again, you have the factor Nick Anderson just giving up runs. And, again, Nick Anderson, dope. But the part that really, really gets me isn't even with Blake Snell. It's with Peter Fairbanks. And Peter Fairbanks gave up the dagger to Mookie Betts, that home run that sort of just completely sealed the deal. But you want to talk about analytics. This dude threw 34 pitches, and he stayed in way too long. Like, how are you going to use analytics and everything for Blake Snell and justify that? But you didn't. It's almost like he didn't use them for Peter Fairbanks. Like, this dude threw 34 pitches, went for an inning, 1 1/3 innings, and it's like, my guy, like, where's Castillo? Like, if you're going to use analytics for one decision, why didn't you use them for another decision? I feel like he definitely just abandoned them for Peter Fairbanks. And again, Peter Fairbanks is part of that dominant pen. Like, if Blake Snell gets out of the 6th, you're looking at a combo of Anderson, Fairbanks, and Castillo to close that game out, and they go to game 7, and you don't know what's going to happen. You got big game Charlie Morton on the bump, and the Dodgers nobody wants to see him in game 7.
Yeah.
But
COVID outbreak.
The point is like, you can't just, and I know they did it all year, but like, at some point, and it's just, to me, this just says what kind of manager Kevin Cash is, because to me, the perfect manager uses the analytics for some decisions and then uses the eye test for other decisions. Like, he takes in a certain variable that's happening on that given day. and says, you know what, analytics be damned. I'm going to go against the analytics. I'm going to go with the minority on this one. And I'm going to go with my gut and say, you know what, we got our ace on the bump. He's absolutely rolling. I'm going to go out there and say, one batter at a time, get us the hell out of this jam. And then you give him the ball.
It wasn't even a jam, though, either. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was just
It
gonna
wasn't
say, yeah.
even a jam.
The degree of danger
Was minimal.
I get it. It's an elimination game, but it's 1 out. Runner on first.
He gets a double plays out.
And I get it's top of the order, but it's, in terms of risk and danger there, I mean, it's one thing if it's, okay, second and third, 1 out, Snell's still in there. All right, well, who do we have to go to that can mitigate this risk and damage? Maybe. Okay. But, like, when it's 1 out and 1 on, but I think your point, Dre, is very interesting because, like, of the Fairbanks, like, with analytics, I mean, it can't be applied. It has to be applied uniformly across scenarios, like, while taking into account, like, the human element. And I think
human element
I'm not
is
sure
a
if you
perfect
guys
way to describe that.
Yeah.
Not eye test, but human element.
with the example, because there was a time, so in the Game 7 of 2016, if you guys remember, in extra innings, the Cubs had, top of the 10th, had a runner on second. And analytics at that time was very high on not intentionally walking and putting another runner on base in that scenario, because, like, that person could risk scoring and thus putting a 2-run lead on base, if you're following my poor explanation there. But so they walked Rizzo to create not just a double play ball, but also a force at third for Ben Zobrist.
Yeah.
And as we know, Ben Zobrist hits that double. Run on second scored, guy on first goes to third. And at the time, I had a very, like, analytics high Indians fan who was just like, no, like, you don't do that. Like, that, you don't put out that guy on first. And, like, that's another scenario for me where it's like, but, like, let's take in, like, the human element, let's take in outside of conventional wisdom in analytics.
Mm-hmm.
If that Zobrist ball was a few inches another way, that works perfectly. Yeah. Third baseman fields it, steps on third, maybe even turns a double play. Yeah. So, like, there's these instances where it could work out completely differently. In an alternate universe, it did. Mm-hmm. But I like what you said, Dre, where it's just like, there's analytics that are taking the summation of everything that ever happened and applying it to this single moment. But what is in that single moment, and how can you make, like, the most informed, not just in analytics, but also the intangible decision there. So yeah, if I was Blake Snell, I would be livid. I would be 100%. Pissed.
I want to know how much he held back in that post-game press conference, because he was like, I was confident. I felt good with my stuff. I was feeling really good. I don't know. If it wasn't media, I would like to go up to him and be like, Blake, off the record, like, what's going through your mind right there? Because
he'd be like, I'm pissed off.
I'd be pissed. I mean, we all saw his reaction when he dropped an F-bomb. But just how it goes. It's how it goes. Hopefully at some point the Rays will be back in that position and Kevin Cash will make a different one.
All I know is that, to me, this just people shouldn't shit on analytics. Like, analytics, I think when it comes to the sport of baseball, I think it's the best sport for analytics.
Yeah.
But my whole thing is that the best managers use analytics and they use the human element. And they merge them both in order to make the best decision at that given time.
Yeah.
Like, analytics helped Clayton Kershaw in Game 5 because he got yanked. He got yanked a little early, and it helped. You know, like, analytics have we've seen him succeed, but in this instance they didn't. And the thing that really gets me is like all the sports nerds are like, oh, I mean, the analytics say this is the best decision possible. Well, I don't. Of course they do. That's what the analytics say. But what do they say about this particular moment?
Yeah.
Do they take into account that Blake Snell has dominated the lineup 2 times through? Because analytics say that the second time through he doesn't dominate. It's actually worse than the first time through. But if you want to again call one hit worse, I mean, bottom line is that I think we're on agreement here. You just can't do that, especially in that game.
Yeah. So that wasn't the only I don't know if I want to call it a bad decision, but that wasn't the only like crazy thing that happened in game 6. Obviously the Dodgers go on and win the World Series, but around the 7th inning of the game, Justin Turner gets pulled from the game because he has coronavirus. Is not allowed to play in the rest of the game, but the Dodgers win the World Series. Obviously he's going to come back out onto the field and celebrate with the team. Guys, what did you obviously he's been getting dragged on social media and all these sports talk shows for the past day and a half, but what did you think about the situation of him going back out there? Because if it was me, I'm not gonna lie, I probably would have done the same thing. Like, no way I'm missing out on a World Series celebration.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I for a second thought that I would be a better person, but I would do the same thing. I mean, it's like the pinnacle of your career, and I think like there's certain things that are really just like not good at all.
Yeah.
For optics,
Mm-hmm.
like the fact that he's pictured without a mask next to Dave Roberts, a guy that has previously had cancer, and like, and who knows like what the consequences or impact of this would be. But like, I'm of the thought that yes, or not to speak for you yet, Dre, but Greg and I would do it.
Yeah.
But there's a protocol that was created where hopefully Greg or I, if we're in that position, aren't the ones making that decision.
Yeah. No, yeah.
And I get it, like nobody wants to be like the hardo that's like, nope.
Yeah.
But like it's one of the scenarios where probably you just need to do it and have sympathy there for it. I mean, at least if you do it, maybe wear a mask more. I don't know. It's just like these are the times we're in. Yoy, but
yeah, right.
Yeah, that's what I have to say about it.
Well, the analytics say that he probably shouldn't have done it, but you got to take in the human element of the situation. Here's the thing. Honestly, here's the thing, and it's like I think Max Kellerman and Louis Riddick had 2 really good takes on this, and they went from the side of, well, if you've had people affected by coronavirus, then it's, you take it a little bit more seriously. But you're talking about a guy who, A, was around his team the entire day.
Yeah.
B,
that's another good point.
Has, as far as I know, has said he hasn't shown no symptoms. So there's that. And then C, we kind of forget that this is his actual job, and he just accomplished the goal of why he goes to work every day. Like, the one singular goal is to win a World Series. Like, if his teammates knew about the fact that he got pulled because he had coronavirus and they said, analytics be damned, come out and celebrate.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm cool with that. Like, they have to be self-aware of knowing the risks. But I like their take because what they said, especially Kellerman, what he said is we don't take this serious enough as a country. And it's like, okay, we don't. And that's sort of like a microcosm as to why. Yeah. But at the same time, you're talking about a guy that just won the World Series. Like, I'm 100% like, I might feel guilty about it just because of who I am, but if they're like, come out and celebrate, like, I'm going to celebrate. Like, I think the whole thing that really gets me about this situation is how in the hell did he get coronavirus? There
That's
hasn't been a positive test in over 2 months. And then in how did they find out in game 7 of this or game 6 of the 7th inning?
like well,
The timing is just so weird.
supposedly his first test was inconclusive or something like that, and he had to take it, and they didn't get it back until midway through the game.
I just don't like how did it but his first test I'm pretty sure was inconclusive around 1 o'clock. Like
Yeah.
how did the second test take 8 hours?
Yeah.
There are goofy conspiracy theorists because Justin Turner was like outspoken on like Rob Manfred when he called like the trophy like that like piece of metal and like stuff like that. So a bunch of conspiracy theorists jokingly on Twitter were just like this was all a setup so Justin Turner couldn't celebrate winning the World Series. So Manfred just like slid in a negative test or a positive test in there.
It figures fire him.
It's the only thing that makes
Fire
sense.
Rob Manfred. But yeah, I didn't even know how he got coronavirus. Like I'm pretty sure they were bubbled. I mean, they didn't move stadiums. Like they were in some sort of like bubble during this whole entire playoff. I mean, they didn't move. They didn't move from Texas. Like they played every single game in Texas, the Dodgers. So for him to get coronavirus now is just it's 2020 in a nutshell. Like it's just crazy. Like I don't know how that happens, but this dude, I just hope everyone's okay after this because I'm sure it's been spread. I mean, if it was inconclusive, it won. I mean, he had it. Like, and it was just proven in the 7th inning. It wasn't like he didn't have it at 1, and then all of a sudden the 7th he got it. Like, he was around his teammates, and I think that's why his teammates were like, you know what, if he has it, we all probably have it because he's around his team. Like, you're not thinking that you have it. Like, they probably all have it. Yeah. And they're probably all going to quarantine themselves. Like, and they're all going to find out. Like, we're going to probably find out here that everyone on that team has coronavirus. It's going to be like the Rays. It just spread like wildfire, or the Marlins.
Yeah.
But I'm celebrating. I have to. I just won the World Series.
Yeah,
I'm 35 years old. I just won the World Series.
You win a World Series and your whole team gets coronavirus. I mean, I guess that's the price you pay of winning the World Series in 2020.
Worth it. It's worth it. To me, it's worth it. I just hope, again, everybody's okay. But
yeah, if we made the decision,
still think we need to take it seriously.
Yeah. If it was up to the players to make the decision, we would all do it.
Yeah.
I was just surprised that it was up to the players because obviously, you're not going to not do it.
You would think that he would have like some guy like following him around or some guy being like, no, you can't go out there or something like that, or like taking him to like a location like away from the stadium as well. It was like another thing.
You should have just brought him out in like a bubble. Just like a little just
like Bubble Boy or whatever that movie is, where he's in the bubble and something
that would have been much better.
Just like in I would own it. I would come out in a hazmat suit and just have my own little personal bottle of champagne.
Yeah, that would have been funny. But there was one more thing I wanted to talk to you about the World Series in particular, and that's Clayton Kershaw, guys. He's been known for kind of, I don't want to say choking, but he's been known for not having his best stuff in the playoffs. It's kind of been his legacy, and he comes out, and what I kind of want to compare it to is, in a way, I don't know, like tell me if I'm wrong here, but like David Price comes out and performs when the Red Sox win the World Series in 2018. Clayton Kershaw comes out this year. He wins Game 1. He wins, I think it was Game 5. Yeah, he wins Game 5. Is his legacy solidified now that he has a ring and he performed in the postseason?
No, it was always solidified to me. Like no matter what. I mean, it adds on to his mantle. But the bottom line is that when it comes to baseball, you don't judge guys on World Series championships. I'm sorry, you just don't. Like, it's just to me, it's just an added bonus.
Like the fact that he finally performed in the postseason, because to this point he's been known as like a regular season guy. He's one of the best pitchers in the regular season in the history of MLB, and now he's got a ring. He's got a couple. I think he went 4-1 in the postseason, 2 wins in the World Series. I mean, does that solidify his legacy even more?
I mean, it doesn't hurt his legacy.
Yeah.
So there's that. But to me, his legacy was always solidified. Like, to me, he's the best pitcher of my generation, and I don't think it's close. You know, I'm pretty sure he was the first to win an MVP out of him and Verlander when it came to pitchers.
Yeah.
You know, and that season was just absolutely insane. But he's always been so good for the Dodgers. Like, and the fact he's just been dealing the way he has been, and this year he didn't even have his best stuff. Like, you can see a physical decline, but again, that's because he was just so good. And, you know, for him to, I guess, come out and finally get that monkey off his back of saying, hey, like, you know, I actually didn't blow it for my team this time. Like, I'm counting on as being the guy, and I finally did it. But I think analytics had a lot to do with it too.
Yeah, no.
That's the ironic thing about it, is they didn't leave him in too long.
Yeah.
Like, and that's part of why we're here. Like, that's why good teams win, because they marry analytics and historical data with the current situation. And Dave Roberts did that in Game 5 with Clayton Kershaw. Like, if he stays in, he probably gets rocked. We're talking about a different scenario. Like, oh, you know, thank God they got away with a win. Like, they needed it. Like, Clayton Kershaw, he blew up again. There's playoff Kershaw. Like, playoff Kershaw it's sort of a myth, because he has dominated. He's also been dominated, but he's dominated early. He just fell apart late. Like, his ERA from like the 6th and beyond is like 7.2. Whereas like his ERA like from 1 through 5 is like 2.5, which is awesome. Like, you want that out of your starter.
Yeah.
That's a really good ERA. So it's sort of a myth, but at the same time, like, the way he's blown up in big moments, it's like, oh, there he is. Like, he's back. But you're not judged on World Series rings ultimately. You're judged on individual accomplishments, and he's been awesome as an individual. Like, he's been, again, he's the best pitcher in my generation. He's probably one of the best pitchers we've ever seen in this game.
Mm-hmm.
So this definitely doesn't hurt his legacy at all. It definitely adds to it. But it's nice to see that myth sort of get debunked and saying, you know what, he didn't blow it.
Yeah, it's nice to have that like vindication, like because there's always going to be that knock on him, regardless of how good he was in this or he is in this era. So it's nice that he sort of has that monkey off the shoulder. Like, I think good connections for me and like cross sports to it. I mean, it was a long time ago, but another lefty, Phil Mickelson, like, for a while, for you non-golfers, like, he never won a major. He was like in his mid-30s. I think he had maybe like 4 major second place finishes. He's had like last hole collapses. So like his knock was, but he doesn't win the big one. Yeah. And then he finally won like that Masters, and he had like a vertical of like this high and the jump in celebration, like the same way of just like, like you could tell how nice that was to have that off of his shoulders.
Yeah.
And the same way here with Kershaw finally getting off the schneid. And then another connection I would make would be another one from this year would just be from the coaching side is Andy Reid. So a guy that's like always like been like a very good and respected coach, but it's like, but does he have a ring? And it's like nice to sort of see people that have always been very good performers be able to have like that vindication and the ability to be like, oh, see, look, like I did do it. What people say that was my limiting factor on what was holding me back. Mm-hmm. So it's great to see it. I mean, I thought it was really cool. Like, I was seeing just like when you're seeing Kershaw like running to celebrate with like his guys, like you could tell like he was really like savoring it and like taking it all in. And that's really cool to see, especially a guy that's on like the back end. Like, I don't know how many innings the guy has left, how many years he does it. So it's nice to see, you know, a guy like that being able to end his career building on an already like incredible legacy.
Yeah. And it's funny because like the one thing I remember from that 2018 run with the Sox with David Price was, after he won the World Series, he, sat in front of the media. He was like, I got the cards now. Like, he can't play that card anymore. I got the cards now. And, Clayton Kershaw has kind of shown the ability. Now he's got the cards, and like no one can play that card on him. So it's awesome to see him have that ability and him have that success. I mean, he was the one guy that I kind of wanted to see, win a World Series. I think he was the big guy of the Dodgers that you want to see win and have success. And now he's got it. So outside of the World Series news, I do want to touch on this real quick before we go.
Wait, did we mention that Clayton Kershaw was high school teammates with Matthew Stafford?
No. Matthew Stafford, I have a bone to pick with him, just like you have a bone to pick with Kenley Jansen. He ruined my parlay this past weekend. I would have won. You would have won $100, Dre. I would have won like $600 if the Falcons would have won that game.
Sports betting.
Yeah, the rest of my legs, my parlay hit, and the Falcons didn't hit.
Yeah, they were in my tees. I had a nice tease in them. I had the over, and they couldn't even hit the over, the alternate over.
A little upset when I woke up Monday morning and the Cardinals had beaten the Seahawks because that was the last leg of my parlay. I was like, "Fucking Matt Stafford, that fucking asshole." And I don't know whether to be more mad at him or
You're blaming Todd Gurley.
Yeah, I don't know who to be more mad at.
I'd be more mad at Matt Ryan personally.
But the fact that you brought up Matt Stafford, I'm mad at Matt Stafford.
I just feel like every time we talk about Clayton Kershaw, we have to talk about the fact that he was high school teammates with Matthew Stafford because everybody brings it up.
They're like best friends too.
We're legally obligated to do it.
Yeah. So yesterday,
we're just doing our part.
Big news in baseball yesterday outside of the World Series. Tony La Russa is the new manager of the Chicago White Sox at the ripe age. I think he's like, what, 78?
76.
76.
76.
The ripe age of 76, coaching the Chicago White Sox, a young, upcoming team with a lot of young talent. Guys, he's got to be too old to manage, right?
This is the problem with baseball is they think these old ass.
At least this team.
They think these old ass fossils are just gonna. They keep recycling them. Like, you're talking about a 76-year-old man giving orders. Who the hell wants to listen to that if you're 23 years old? You're like, old man, like, get out of here. Like, this ain't even coming from my Cardinals hate. Like,
said days before the election where we have two 76-year-old men.
It's just
a unique parallel.
I'm just so over these old guys like finding their way back into baseball, and it's insane to me because baseball has moved away from them. But why do we keep bringing them back? Like, I wanted the White Sox to succeed. I really did, and I honestly would have been okay if they hired a guy like Alex Cora. Like, despite all of that, of course you wouldn't have, but I would have. I'd have liked it. Like, it's the wrong move. I don't care what anybody says. Now I have to hate the White Sox because I hate Tony La Russa. He's one of those unwritten rules guys. This is how the game was played. Well, the game isn't. It's not 1980 anymore, my guy. Like, it's 2020.
Yeah.
So now these guys they're going to be all buttoned down and like all respect the game. Like, Tim Anderson's not going to do that. And he's going to end up getting traded. And I hope he ends up getting traded and wins World Series too. Like, because you're talking about cooling down that dude. That dude's one of the most exciting players out there. Like, he's one of the most, rambunctious and show-offy guys. And I'm here for all of it.
Me too.
If he's just not that guy anymore, it's just going to be upsetting. But I hate this move. I think it's terrible.
Yeah. Just a hire that just doesn't make any sense, and it just reeks of Jerry Reinsdorf.
Yes.
For those Last Dance watchers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean,
because La Russa. Or sorry, Greg.
What the weird part about the trade is the White Sox general manager, president of baseball operations. No one made the decision. This was Jerry Reinsdorf. He was like, "This is our guy. This is who's going to be our manager." And the baseball staff didn't have anything to say about it. It was all the owner, which is wild to think.
Well, it's not that wild to think. I guess it's wild for that instance, but like, that just shows how out of touch ownership is with the current times.
Yeah.
Like you see shit like that all the time in sports.
Mhm.
Jerry Jones does it.
Yeah.
The Knicks owner, James Dolan, does it. Like Dan Snyder did it until Ron Rivera came in and said, you know what, you get the hell out of my football team. Like you go own the team. Let me do my job. And now he has no say in the team whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like, why do owners think that they're smarter than actual people? Like, I don't get it. Just open up your checkbook and let me do my job.
Mhm.
Like, Tony La Russa is not it, my guy. He's not it at all.
Mhm. Yeah, because I was reading an article and I didn't know this. I just thought La Russa was always a A's and Cardinals guy, but he did coach the White Sox like prior to the A's.
Mhm.
And like Reinsdorf, I'm butchering his name, but like he was like, oh, my greatest regret was letting him go back in like 1986 or whatever it was. And I'm just like, 34 years ago, and it's just like, how are you, like, you have this team and it just like of electric young guys and it just makes no sense. And you're gonna have who is it on the is it Eloy Jimenez that has like the buttons down all the way down here?
Mhm.
Like, how many buttons, like what's the over under on how many buttons La Russa is gonna allow him to go under? Like 2.5?
Like,
Because like that's not, it just doesn't make sense. And it's one that's like, you would be shocked if the result of it was positive.
yeah.
It just doesn't add up at all.
Yeah, it's gonna be strange to see kind of how it plays out. I'm not gonna lie, with an old guy like that coaching a bunch of youngsters who are on the rise. It's gonna be
I just don't get it. Baseball's
Who's already in the Hall of Fame,
baseball.
Yeah.
right?
Baseball's like the only sport where they just recycle old time managers, and it's like it's not 2000 anymore. Like you're not managing Mark McGwire and the Cardinals. Like you're not managing Mark McGwire and the Athletics.
Mhm.
Like you're 76. Just enjoy retirement. No, we got to put this guy back in the dugout
Yeah.
because he's it. No, he was it, but the game has passed him up. It's just like it passes every old guy up. Like it's the same with Dusty Baker.
Yeah.
Like, why bring these guys back into baseball? You know, while we're at it, let's put Bobby Cox back on the Braves. While we're at it, you know, let's bring back Chuck Tanner or Jim Leland for the Pirates. Let's do that because
Connie Mack, let's bring him back.
like let's just do it because these guys historically
He's
have been
dead,
great
but let's bring
managers. They have been. You know, let's not
Yeah.
pave the way for new guys because that's not what we're about here.
Yeah.
So dumb.
And especially when you think of like the managers that are getting hired now, like I'm thinking of blanking on other examples. I don't know, Rocco Baldelli,
Kevin Cash,
players or
Gabe
like managers,
Kapler.
managers that are like a few years out from like playing. Like there is like that element of like having a close proximity to being in players' positions that I think like it's really like swinging towards. And it's like, how do you think La Russa is going to handle the A word analytics? Who knows?
Oh, they're done. Like there's no
Mhm.
analytics on that team anymore whatsoever. Because you can say, you know what, I managed this way for years and look what's got me. He's gonna show him his resume. It's like, old man, sit down before I break your hip. I hate Tony La Russa. I hate this concept that you need to bring in old managers in order to win games because that's the guy we need to take our team to the next level. They literally set their franchise back.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's so dumb.
Strange decision, guys. But anyway, that's all we have time for today. I don't know when we'll be back, but we'll be back at some point. Hodo will be back. We're gonna take a nice vacation. So until next time, guys, thanks for joining us for the 2020 MLB season. We'll see you later.